Well, you can call it victory weekend for the city of Houston. Way to go, University of Houston Cougars. We're going to talk about your game real quick. And then the Astros come back. They tried to match the Cougars' energy as they fly to Seattle, winners of a series. Let's talk about it right now.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, but I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to the bullpen. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. You know where to find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You know where to find the show at Back to the Bullpen on X, on Instagram, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify. Look, on YouTube. Look, we're 11 subscribers away from the magic 1,000 number. So please make sure you do that, subscribe, share it with everybody. And I've got the best former Major League pitching co-host on the planet, Mike Stanton. Mike, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, there's only one place, and that's going to be on X at Mike Stanton 29. I'll tell you what, it was an interesting series these boys just had up in Minnesota in the great upper Midwest.
They did, and it was frigid. You know, today it was a little cool down here in Houston.
It was.
Man, I took Milo for a walk today, and I was like, I should have worn a sweatshirt. And
you know what, though, some of the weather we're having across this nation right now, we can't complain about 55 and windy.
Heck no. Oh no. I was loving it. Look, Milo loved the 1.5 mile walk today. I loved it. I love the cool breeze. Reminded me of a few times I've been to San Diego. The weather there just seems to be perfection year round. But before we get into the Astros, before we get into the major leagues today and what's going on over the weekend and since we last met, the University of Houston Cougars, led by Kelvin Sampson, who became the oldest coach to qualify for a national championship game in NCAA history, came back from 14 down. And this is the first time Duke, or I think anybody, has lost the lead leading with less than 8 minutes left in the game. And
really?
What a story. Yeah, it was an invigorating win for the University of Houston.
And they went on a run, 9-0 with like less than a minute. Would score 9 unanswered points to win this game. So, and they did it against arguably the best defense in men's college basketball in the Duke Blue Devils. So interesting game. Awesome for our hometown boys, the Houston Cougars. You know, we have so many colleagues. My good friend Kevin Eschenfelder, McTaggart, Brian McTaggart. There's all kinds of guys that have a U of H connections. So congratulations to the boys, and hopefully they can bring it home.
Yeah, definitely. We got Eric Heisman from my co-host over there at Locked On Astros. Yep. We've had Robert Flores on Locked On before. He's University of Houston Cougars. So, Jim Nantz, the great Jim Nantz. And then I don't know if you saw this, but after the game, the security wouldn't let Akeem Olajuwon onto the court to celebrate with the team.
Really? No, I did not see that. How about that?
Who is this guy?
How do you stop Akeem? Except he's such a nice guy.
He is. Oh man.
I mean, Hakeem, he pretty much goes wherever he wants to, but he's one of those guys that's gonna listen to our boys in blue.
Oh, he is, and I was like, well, somebody at least needs to reprimand this guy. It wasn't a cop. It was one of the NCAA.
Yeah, it was just a
but that place was
guard.
Packed, and it was like a super University of Houston game. The people, the red was everywhere. And I just found out one of my buddies just got tickets for him, his wife, and his son, and they're headed up tomorrow morning to San Antonio. And I'm like,
heck yeah.
Well, that's a pretty penny you're paying there for that ticket. But you know what? He's also an alumni. I believe him and his wife both. So, that's special. He's a season ticket holder for all the sports.
Yeah,
So,
I even have an older brother that's a U of H alum.
yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people. My dad's got a friend of his, Paul Otis, who played for the University of Houston Cougars football team when they were in the Southwest Conference.
Nice. Bring back the Southwest Conference. I love it.
Those were the good old days, right?
They were.
Well,
It was a rivalry every weekend.
right?
It was a rivalry.
Oh,
I mean, it was crazy.
That's when like Baylor had like Mike Singletary. I mean, look, that was it.
SMU.
So here's the deal. So they staged this amazing comeback. The day before that, or before that game ended, you had the Astros just lose 5-1 in a really bad game that came unfolded with Arrighetti on the mound when Altuve dropped the ball on the exchange and 4 runs scored. The Astros didn't respond. Now, Altuve went from going 0 for 5 in the first game with 5 strikeouts to getting 3 hits and the leadoff home run, the lone run in that second game.
Right.
So he came back. So today the question was, are they going to finally take advantage of this Twins pitching staff? Because, Mike, I looked it up, and they're bottom 4 in ERA, home runs per 9, and FIP. Their pitching staff has not been great this year.
Yeah.
So this is the team you like to jump on and win. So, objective number 1, win the series. They did that. And today, what a game. You had an absolute, we'll get to the bullpen here in a second, but the bats did the damage. Jordan started off the scoring with the sacrifice. Then the Twins would score 7 unanswered runs. And then what do you know? The Astros are like, let's just wait till the 8th and 9th inning to come back. This is the first time since 2023, because in 2024, when the other team was leading in the 8th inning, the Astros never retook the game in 2024. It didn't happen at all. They were 0-59 in that situation. This year, now they're 1-0 with being behind, I guess you could say. But man, what a game. The bats came alive. Isaac Paredes was huge today.
Yeah, actually, the offense, even yesterday, it was a frustrating day yesterday, just simply because they had plenty of hits. They actually out-hit the Twins.
They did.
But it was the only run that they could muster was that leadoff home run by Altuve. And it was just one of those games that you're like, okay, they just can never break out. And today, it looked like it was going to be a similar situation. They fall behind 4-0. They drop a 3 spot in the 5th and then another one in the 6th to tie it all up. But yeah, it was just, the beginning of the game, I think everybody was feeling that pressure a little bit. Renaud Blanco just simply did not have it today. He only goes an inning and 2/3, giving up 4 runs on 5 hits, walked 3. Really didn't have the command that we've seen him in the past. Now, it was chilly, and that is not an easy place to pitch, especially during a day game when it's cold. But, the Astros broke out the whooping stick late in the game, as you expect them to do, dropped the 2 spot with Jordan home run to tie to tie the game.
Right.
Is that right? Yeah, to tie the game in the 9th, and then 2 more. And what I like to see in the 10th inning was the Astros pushing the envelope. It wasn't just sit out there and try and hit the ball out of the ballpark. There was a stolen base. There was things that happened that you really enjoyed seeing, because that has been a big Achilles heel for the Astros in the past years, even the years that they're going to the World Series, was extra innings. They've been always for some reason just been terrible.
Yes,
in the extra innings, but. So it ends up being a really good win for the Astros. And you saw Josh Hader. He ends up getting the win with 2 perfect innings with 3 strikeouts, pitching the 9th and the 10th. So Josh, who, has pitched okay early in this year, he looked good today.
No, he did. So one of the things I want to start doing is recognizing certain players. And So for the bullpen bully of the game, I'm going to ask you, out of Rafael Montero, who pitched 2 innings and had 3 strikeouts, and Josh Hader, who pitched 2 innings and 3 strikeouts, because we don't want to undersell Montero, because look, anything you get out of Montero this year is a plus because of the contract alone. $11.5 million each season that he's being paid. And last year, we know what happened. He ended up being DFA'd eventually, was AAA, and then he was put on the roster this year, and really, for the most part, has done really well. So out of Montero and Hader, who would you give the bullpen bully of the game to?
Well, I'm going to have to give it to Hader just because of the stressful innings that he pitched. You know, Montero, you know, there's an argument there because he righted the ship. You know, Blanco gave up 4 in the inning and 2/3. Contreras came in 2 1/3. Now, you know, he extended the game a little bit, but he gave up 3. So it was 7. They were down 7, or they'd given up 7 runs by the time Montero went in there. And, you know, he had 2 base runners, a hit and a walk, 3 strikeouts in those 2 innings. So, yes, he definitely, you know, kind of calmed down the offense for the Twins. But I got to give it to Hader, you know, pitching the 9th and the 10th with the strikeouts. He ends up getting the win. And, you know, it was 2 perfect innings. So I'm going to have to go with Josh today.
Yeah, Josh Hader looked really good. You know, closers are always under the microscope, right? And
always.
We talked about this. I liken them to, you know, a kicker in the NFL. You know, you could have a kicker that has an entire career of being nails, and he could have 2 or 3 games in a row where he's just not kicking well, and everybody's like,
actually, just one game. I mean, we saw that.
Right.
We saw that in the playoffs this year. That
That's true.
You know, kickers that are perfect all year long, and then all of a sudden they miss one, and you know, now they're choke artists. I mean, you know, straight out of the movie set with Ace Ventura.
Yeah,
laces out, man. Laces out.
Laces out. Oh man, there's so many one-liners I can pull from that movie. That was definitely a classic. You know, for sure. I remember that, you know, like it was yesterday. Hey, real quick before we move forward, we want to talk about our guy Mark at Ram Shirts. You know, back to the bullpen shirts. You can only get these shirts at Ram Shirts. So go to ramshirts.com or click on the QR code that you see on your screen. Also, if you're looking for that fresh cut, go to State of the Art Barbershop at 1616 South Friendswood Drive. That's where Ever Cruz is. Look, he's always looking for more guys to join his crew. He just hired a couple new guys, but he's always looking for young barbers out there, licensed barbers. If you're a licensed professional in the Bay Area, go to 1616 South Friendswood Drive. Check out Ever Cruz. Tell him Back to the Bullpen sent you, and to let them know he sent you. You'll get 10% off your haircut. But again, look, Mark at Ram Shirts, he's been selling a lot of shirts lately, especially a lot of University of Houston shirts. And the shirt I'm wearing to school tomorrow to support the Cougars says "For the City." So I'll be wearing that, you know, like I do to support the Cougs.
There it is.
That's right. See, I'm not even a Cougar, and I know. Do you know what this comes from, right?
I know there's 2 meanings.
Okay. Well, the one that I know of is they used to have a live cougar, okay, named Shasta. They didn't. Yep. Yeah.
Actually, there were a few Shastas.
Yeah. Well, one of the Shastas. Good Lord. My ESPN Fantasy Baseball app is letting me know I won this week finally. Good Lord. But one of the Cougars, and I don't know what year it was, apparently was being loaded into the cage. They closed the cage, and they actually closed the cage on one of the.
And got a toe?
Got one of the toes, and that's where the missing. That's where the
did not know that.
Yes.
When my brother was at U of H, this is obviously a long time ago.
Okay.
He also, you know, that was back when University of Texas was, you know, the premier, you know, sporting university. Doesn't matter what the sport was. And he kind of told me it also meant. You see it?
Yes. Oh, UH. There you go.
Well, U of H, but also, you know, the middle finger to University of Texas.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. I did not realize that. Okay,
Trying to keep it a family show.
You know what? Hey, you know what? Next time we have Brian McTaggart on, let's talk to him about that.
Well, the problem with Brian is you're never ever going to get any rise out of him because he's the nicest guy on the frickin' planet.
But he does joke around. He
He
does joke around
does.
on social
He
media
does.
sometimes.
He does.
That guy, I bet you, Brian McTaggart, and I hope he sees this clip. I bet you Brian McTaggart would make a great deadpan stand-up comedian. You give him 3 minutes and a mic, I bet you he would kill it.
Yeah, just straight game face.
Yeah, just game face, just telling jokes, not cracking a smile. That to me would be hilarious. But the Astros are trying to heat up, Mike. The Astros won 2 of 3. They scored
Right.
15 runs. Well,
Another winning series. If you guys listen to me on the broadcasts over the years, going all the way back to AJ, even prior to AJ Hinch, what you're trying to do in Major League Baseball. Streaks are fun. They're great. But the problem with streaks, they all end.
Mhm.
What you're trying to do is be consistent and win series. That's what you want to do. No long losing streaks. Don't get swept, but the ultimate goal is to just keep winning series. You do that, you're going to end up right where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Now, talking about don't get swept, the Mariners just got swept by the Giants.
Oh.
And so they are coming off a sweep in San Francisco. And it was a walk-off victory today for the Giants. Mike Yastrzemski.
That's all fine and good. You're going to talk about that, and we should. But the Dodgers are done. They're not in first place anymore.
That's right.
It's over.
The Dodgers' reign is over. Down with LA, right?
That's
lost
right.
Again.
That's right. Half a game.
For lost again Dodgers.
They're behind the Gigantors by half a game.
The Gigantors. I like it. Now, okay, so in the East, we've got I'm still holding to the Yankees missing the playoffs. I think I may have put the cart before the horse a little bit. And I know you're a Yankee alumni, and I know they have Aaron Judge, but I think they've outperformed who they really are in the long run. Okay. And I really hope that plays out so I don't sound foolish. But the Red Sox have caught fire. The Red Sox have won 5 in a row. Now,
sure.
Again, we need to temper our expectations with winning streaks right now, but we're just talking about who's hot and who's
not. We're less than 2 weeks in.
Exactly.
So yes. The whole thing about the Dodgers, that was a joke, folks. That was a joke. But I mean, of all the teams, because the National League East or West, I mean, you have two teams because the Padres are right there also. They've got some teams that have just been, just got off to a white hot start. And then in the American League East, I'll tell you what, that would, if the Yankees miss the playoffs, that is going to be quite the story. But the Red Sox are a good team. There's no doubt about it. And, they have some dude playing third base that's actually doing all right.
Dude,
who's that guy?
Alex Bregman lit it up today. So the Red Sox have won 5 in a row. The Rangers have won 5 in a row. And the Giants have won 7 in a row. So we're talking about who's hot and who's not. Those are the 3 teams that are the hottest. Right. The White Sox, as I think is going to be all season long, they've lost 5 in a row. You have the Cardinals. They've lost 3 in a row. And then everybody else is around 2 losses.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks are at 5-5, Mike. They've scored 58 runs, but they've given up 51 runs. So their pitching hasn't panned out the way
that
is
I
what,
but that pitching is, they got is Brent Strom still there? I think he's still there. Yeah,
Brent Strom is still there.
So, and they've got good pitching. So that's not going to last. They'll figure that out. And the Diamondbacks are a very good team. To go to the top of the who's not list, which is actually where you absolutely do not want to be. I mean, the White Sox were historically bad last year. They're probably going to be not quite as bad as they were last year, but yeah, they're going to be at the top of that list all year long. And again, even some of these teams, the Rangers, okay, there's still question about with the Rangers. Can they consistently score? Can they consistently put the ball in play? There were a lot of strikeouts last year, and is their pitching going to hold up? So. You know what? You can say the pitching, you can say that about every single solitary team across Major League Baseball, including the Yankees. That's going to be the key is, yeah, they're going to score runs, but what are they going to do for run prevention? But I'll tell you what, I think there's a lot of people that have picked the Red Sox to win that division. They are a good team this year.
Now, the two highest scoring teams in Major League Baseball, the Yankees and the Cubs.
Well, you mentioned Aaron Judge. He has destroyed the ball. He's already got like 19 home runs in the first couple of days. Okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I think
he's not even using a torpedo bat.
No, he's not even.
But now, interesting. I got to get your take because you played for this team. The Atlanta Braves are 1-8.
That is surprising because Atlanta Braves, they should be a good team. Now they lost some people from free agency.
Right.
You know, they lost Max Fried, who was arguably their best pitcher last year.
Yeah.
But they've had some injuries already and they just gotten off to a bad start. And when you're reeling like that, especially early in the season, everybody panics. Everybody, because the sample size is so small. Listen, if they go one, I think they have 2 wins or 2-8, 2-9, something like that. If they do that in June, you don't even bat an eyelash. Yeah, they're kind of a little bad streak right now. But now, right here at the beginning of the season, you got to keep everything in perspective. But even the players, because listen, nobody likes to get off to a bad start. And the old saying, you can't win the division in April, but you can lose the division in April. And again, we're 11, 12 games into the season here, but yeah, you want to be able to take a deep breath and relax. And what I've always said is play 500. If you can play 500, just kind of tread water until the weather starts warming up and your team gets into the flow a little bit, you'll be fine. But when you're 5, 6, 7 games under 500 and you're not even 2 weeks in, even a veteran team, that's going to affect you.
Right. It is. And I want to talk about this, Mike, because I think it goes into us understanding what players are hot and maybe why they're hot. And going through baseball as a pitcher or as a hitter, it's all about making adjustments. And we define guys like Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Kyle Tucker in the modern age, Yordan Alvarez of the modern age. They all have certain swings, right? And to us, we see a swing, even Alex Bregman, but we don't realize from season to season, they make adjustments. And one of the guys that's made an adjustment, and it has been this guy, could be, if he continues this tear at third base in Arizona, Eugenio Suarez could have a career year. Right now, he's barreling 18.9% of the baseballs that he hits. Yeah. He already has 5 home runs. Last year, he had 20. So he's got a fourth of what he had all last season. And I was watching a breakdown of his batting stance, and he's slightly changed his position. He's opened up a little bit more, whatever he's done. He's basically not the same hitter at the plate. Alex Bregman has also changed. And what is Alex Bregman known for throughout his Houston career? Starting slow. Well, he's not starting slow this year. He's hitting really, really well. His OPS is through the roof right now. He's hitting in the 300s. These guys, and Bregman, I saw him breaking down his swing, and he kind of changed a little bit, made his swing a little bit more flat. I didn't think it could get more flat, but
it had gotten. Okay, his swing had changed over the years also. When he was early in his career, when he came out of the minor leagues, he had a very flat bat path. But about 3 years in, you started seeing a little bit more of the uppercut. Not much. It's not crazy, but there, and you started seeing him get underneath the ball a little bit more. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't until about halfway through the season last year, Alex just simply didn't hit the ball hard. Mm-mm. That was the design of his swing. I have no idea how many times, we saw exit velocity of balls that were hit into the Crawford boxes of less than 100 miles an hour. And it was about halfway through the season. I think it was a game the series in Boston last year that he hit a couple balls like, well over 100, 102, 103, 104 miles an hour. And you're like, okay, now this is a different dude. He hit a home run to straightaway center at Fenway that registered, well over 100. And that was, I think there had only been one ball that I had seen in the last couple of years, and I haven't seen them all, but that he had registered an exit velocity of that high. And at the end of the season last year, he had continued to hit the ball hard. So I don't know if there was a swing change, if there was an approach change. But the one thing that Alex always does, and he's at least one of the best in Major League Baseball, is knowing the strike zone. When you swing, when you're a hitter and you swing at strikes, that makes the pitcher's job 10 times harder than when you're going to expand the zone.
Yeah, exactly. And when I sit here and look at his barrel percent, it's at 7.7 right now. That's the highest. And I'm talking about like barrel percent over a season, 2025. He's already starting above that. Barrel per plate appearance is already at a 5.4, which is over what he's done throughout his career. So he's doing well. And I said to begin the season that he was going to hit doubles and he was going to hit home runs. And right now at 326 and an OPS at 928. I mean, again, it's the first couple weeks of the season, but I haven't seen Alex Bregman start like this.
Ever. I don't think he's ever done it.
And him and Devers is kind of starting to heat up a little bit. Of course, it's hard not to heat up after going 0 for 16.
No, well, he was 0 for 19. I heard somewhere that he was 0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts.
Yeah, it was crazy. And now
you want to talk about looking for a mulligan?
Well, get this. Now he's already up to 243, so he's heated up.
Yeah. The dude can hit.
Oh, exactly. He is a proven hitter. It's the guys that hit once in a blue moon. You do have your one hit wonders. I mean, we've talked about the guys that come up, the hot rookies that come up and have a great year. And so we talked about who's hot, who's not. I want to ask you about Cam Smith. Okay. Cam Smith is not playing every day right now. He's resting every, couple games.
Yeah.
After his first really big major league debut, he hit the triple and did all that stuff. He really hasn't done much. The Astros, I think, have to ride this out for a while because you did call him up. You don't just send the kid down and maybe destroy his confidence, although I don't think he's that fragile. But how long do you think the Astros ride out Cam Smith before they say, look, we need you to work on this and this, go down there for 2 weeks, we'll see you back up. This is not permanent, it's temporary.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a timetable? If he's still struggling into May, are they making that decision?
It depends on how bad he's struggling. It depends on things that we have no idea, which is what are the conversations? How is he acting? In the dugout, in the clubhouse? Is he a different dude because he's struggling? Is he still having fun? Is he still trying to make adjustments? Is he grinding too hard? Right. And the sample size, that's what we should have labeled this whole show was sample size, because the sample size is still so small.
Right.
You can't really make any determination one way or another, whether you're hot or you're not. That's why we're joking about, the Giants being in first place over the Dodgers.
Right.
But I've said it in previous podcasts that, what a player does in spring training and what a player does in September has to be taken with a grain of salt, because the sample size, even if they're full months, they're too, the sample sizes are just too small. And I said again that, when the second deck gets put on a stadium, when you get out of spring training, whether it's Florida or Arizona, pitchers are pitching differently. They're not working on anything now. Now they're trying to get dudes out. Fastballs got a little bit more zip. Sliders have a little bit more bite. They're paying a little bit more attention to location. And all of a sudden now you're also playing, and sometimes in cold weather, but sometimes you're also playing in packed stadiums, and you're not doing that in spring training. So it is a different feel. And it's also a different mental approach, just simply because I said this before, making the team out of spring training, there's pressure on that, whether you're in the starting in the starting lineup every single day, or if you're just being a part-time playing a few times a week. There's still pressure there, and it's pressure he's never dealt with because heck, he only had a handful of games above A-ball.
Right. I was looking at this hot rookie from Boston, Christian Campbell.
Mhm.
Okay. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, Christian Campbell got an extension. Why don't we give an extension to Cam Smith? I'm like, well, Christian Campbell played 2 years in the minors. Christian Campbell had over 300 plate appearances in the minors or something like that. So yeah, he's more farther along in his development than Cam Smith. Cam Smith is more of a on the job training. I mean, the kids these days.
That, you know what? If the
OJT.
Astros truly believe that this is going to be the right fielder of the future, I mean, we may see that. I mean, we saw it done with Altuve. We saw it done with Bregman. We saw it done with several of the Astros players why would you do that? It's cost certainty.
Right.
It's to take away those arbitration years. That's what it's really for.
Exactly.
So, we'll have to wait and see. But, and heck, you never know. They may be negotiating right now. But if I'm Cam Smith, I'm not signing anything right now because I'm going to wait till I get hot. So my value goes up a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, hey, Cam, you want to sign now?
And Dana Brown's like, hey, come on. But just
they're like, hey,
put the pen to paper here.
They're like, Jose, go tell him how you signed for $15,000.
Right. Well, I think his first contract was just it was incredibly low. No, I'm talking about his first big league.
Oh yes,
the extension that he signed, as a very young player was, incredibly low.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know if I told you this story. Jose Altuve, and I don't know that he had been called up yet, but he was one of their really hot rookies, and he was in Houston for something. Well, they decided to put him in the concourse and sign autographs.
Okay.
Well, nobody knew who he was. I remember walking by, seeing this guy, or I thought it was a kid, sitting in a why they put him in a high chair in a
like
bar
stool, a bar,
right?
a bar height chair.
His legs
were dangling.
And I remember going, who's that? They're like, oh, that's the Astros. Like, that's one of their top prospects, Jose Altuve. I was like, he looks like a kid. And I remember just walking by, had no idea who he was. And then he'd become, the behemoth that
I think that's why he went with so much facial hair, because it just made him look like an adult, because he was so baby faced at the beginning.
He was. So the Astros go to Seattle. Okay. The getaway game is important to win that last game.
Happy flight.
You get on. Yeah.
Happy flights.
Go to Seattle, a whole different time zone. Logan Gilbert's on the mound. Now, Logan Gilbert is 0-1, but Logan Gilbert has a whip of .67 and has 18 strikeouts and 12 innings.
Yeah.
Logan Gilbert is
big
27,
arm, big stuff.
But he is one of the rising stars in Major League Baseball as a pitcher. That's going to be a tough matchup. Hayden Wesneski will be going for the Astros. Didn't have a bad first game with the Astros. I think he's going to settle in as a starter. If Wesneski can come out and get the win in Seattle, and the Astros can jump on a couple mistakes from Logan Gilbert, that could be a big confidence builder. And that would be a great sign to have your number 5 starter going out and giving you the ability to win games.
Yeah, Seattle's got the same problem Seattle's had for the last several years, which is offense. Can they consistently score runs? And that has been an issue early in this 25 season for them. But we also know that they're in every single game because they have a rotation full of young studs, young power arms, and Gilbert may be at the top. That dude has got just flat, filthy stuff.
He does.
But hey, make him throw strikes, and you got a chance. You're gonna expand the zone. with the stuff that Gilbert has, that is not a good equation for success. But the Astros, make him put the ball in the zone, catch one out front, and just see what happens.
Yeah, well, one of the things is the Mariners had picked up Victor Robles. Well, Victor Robles injured his shoulder today, making an unbelievable catch in right field in San Francisco. He was carted off after the play because he had a wrist injury. And if you go back and watch the replay of this, it looks like
Hold on.
he
Did
could
you
have
just say he
broken.
was carted off?
They said he was carted. It said he was carted off after the play with a wrist injury. He basically
that sounds terrible. That must be a really bad wrist injury if you had to cart it off for a wrist injury.
Yeah, he was flailing. He literally jumped into the netting in the right field because
I didn't see it. I'll have to go look at it.
Yeah, just if you type in Victor Robles catch or Victor Robles injury, the reason why I mention that is because excuse me, he's been one of their bright spots offensively. Hitting 273 this year. He was 2 for 5 today. They have Cal Riley who has power. You did have Julio Rodriguez go deep once in this series, an opposite field home run. And look, that offense, if Julio Rodriguez could be the player that he is projected to be, and that I think he is, then I think this Mariners offense has an easier time getting over that offensive hump. But when your best hitter is not hitting or your most talented guy is not producing, it's hard. And hitting, Mike, is contagious.
Hitting is contagious, like the bubonic plague. We're going back to the natural now. But actually, I think that the line is losing is contagious in the movie. Well, listen, J-Rod has been this phenomenal athlete for the last several years. And, the American League West, just keeping their fingers crossed that he's going to continue to do this inconsistency because what he usually does is he has a really, really good half of a season. Right. He's never been able to put together a full season. And if he ever does, look out because this could be an MVP caliber player. But for right now, he's still just one of those guys with it's almost like the talent is almost a dirty word that, he's got all this ability, but just can't seem to put together consistently.
Exactly. I don't know if you heard this. There was an announcement today that Logan Van Wy has been called up and he will meet the team in Seattle from AAA Sugarland. And I'm currently looking to see, I haven't heard the corresponding move. I'm assuming because of some of the struggles Luis Contreras has had, more than likely that will be the corresponding move.
You know what assuming does.
Well, that's why I'm saying I don't know if that's it, but he's the only guy I can think of that they would move down. A lot of the bullpen pitch today, you need a fresh arm, and this is how Major League Baseball works. It's just you move guys up and down, you move them around, and you have a long-term plan for everyone. Right.
But you also have this day-to-day thing that anything can happen. You have to make sure that, it's one of the reasons why the Astros wanted their AAA right down the road from their big league club so that they can make those moves and make them quickly. Now, unfortunately for the Astros and unfortunately for Logan, he's got a 4-hour trip out to Seattle. It's not a 30-minute trip up 59, but he'll take it anyways because he's going to get some big league meal money and he's going to spend some time. Pretty cool stadium. I still like to call it Safeco. I don't remember what it's called now, but the stadium but you better have your jacket because it is a covered stadium, but it is not enclosed. So it's probably
now
be
trivia. Where did Logan Van Wy go to college?
Really? I have no idea.
I just looked it up.
So you cheated.
He went to Missouri Southern. He was a Missouri Southern alum, and they
Mizzou Southern.
That's right. So there you go. Logan Van Wy, Missouri Southern alumni, called up, and I bet you his family will be there. What was it like for you, Mike, when you pitched your first big league action? What was that like?
Okay, so when I first got called up, I was in AAA Richmond playing for the Richmond Braves, and actually they're having an anniversary. We won the International League that year. That was 1989. So what is that? 25 years. And they're having the ballpark there is called the Diamond. And apparently they have a new ballpark, and this is the last year for the Diamond. So they're having an anniversary of that championship team. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be there. I did get my invitation, but I just haven't been able to work it out logistically.
Now, do you need me to go in your place? You know how they have people accept awards in someone's place?
I don't know if there's going to be an award. I only played there for 28 days. I pitched pretty well for him.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, if you ever need me to like stand in for you, like a Yankees reunion or something, just let me know.
Well, we look so much alike. So, just.
Hey, I'm just as tall as you are. Okay. Don't start making the short jokes.
So I was in AAA, and I was closing at the time, and I had just converted a 3-inning old school Goose Gossage save.
Nice.
So I was put in the 7th inning to close the game.
Wow.
Yes. I think I got the first couple innings went really well. 3rd inning, I think I got a couple out, and I was just out of gas. Ended up getting the bases loaded, got a ground ball back to me, a 1-2-3 double play.
Nice.
Game over. Okay, so that's all fine and good. We have an off day the next day, 10 o'clock in the morning. I get a phone call that I am going to the big leagues after pitching 3 innings last night.
Wow.
And I find out that it's a businessman special in Atlanta. I think the game started at like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock.
So you don't have any time to rest or anything.
So I have to throw my stuff in the car, drive my car to the Diamond, then they take me to the airport. I fly to Atlanta. I get to the stadium in the 2nd inning. I get to the bullpen in the 4th inning, and I pitch the 9th inning.
Wow.
So this would never ever happen in today's baseball.
Oh no!
After pitching 3 innings yesterday, you probably get 3 days off.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you wouldn't even sniff the mound.
Well, I end up throwing like the first 6 or 7 days. I'm not in the game, but at least warming up for like the first 6 or 7 days in the big leagues. Yeah, it was against the Cardinals.
Okay.
And I think it was shutout inning. Turned around, got right back on the plane. We went to Chicago. Now you got to remember, this is 1989. This is back Mark Grace. This is back when the Cubs were really good. And I actually got my first big league strikeout ended up being Mark Grace. I faced him twice in that series. We went from there to Pittsburgh. Remember Pittsburgh back then? That's Barry Bonds days.
Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonilla, Sid Bream.
Yep, I had my and then I got my first save in Pittsburgh. But yeah, it was a whirlwind. I mean, and a lot of times when you get called up, they like to get the player in the game ASAP. Don't let you think about it. Don't just get in there and do what you do. And that's exactly what Atlanta did. So I had, like I said, I got to the stadium in the 2nd inning, got my uniform, got into the bullpen of the 4th inning, and pitched the 9th. Now, of course, my parents had no chance to get there. I did have just enough time to call them, say, "Hey, I'm going to Atlanta. Bye." They did go to Chicago though, so my parents were in Chicago for that series. So pretty. Cool.
Speaking of Chicago, I was going back because I had talked to someone the other day and said, I watched more Cubs I watched the Astros play the Cubs and the Braves more than I watched them play anybody because we didn't have the Houston network. We had WGN. We had
only
TBS.
TBS and WGN. They were the only two in the whole nation. So that's and the crazy thing is both of the teams, for the most part, while those were the only 2 networks, both of the teams stunk.
Yeah, they were not great. They were not great during those years. I just remember. So I was listening to Harry Carey, and you can actually go to YouTube and pull up Harry Carey stories. And there's one where he's talking about Cracker Jacks. He's like, Cracker Jacks. He goes, it's a great concept. You know, you got a toy for a kid. Well, I got a box of Cracker Jacks during the game, and there's no toy. That's terrible. Crushing a kid's dreams. And then he would randomly go on some over on 15th Street. I got this. You know, he just would, and he'd be like, and there's a triple play.
I'm a Cubs fan and a Bud man.
That's right. I actually do a little bit better Harry Carey impression, but we won't get into it here. But yeah, he was great. But that's cool. I mean, Sean Dunston, Mark Grace.
Oh yeah, no, they were
Andre
good.
Dawson. I'm trying
Rick
to think.
Sutcliffe was their big.
Lee Smith.
There was a closer. Yeah, Rick Sutcliffe was their number one pitcher.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. Well, hey, Mike, this has been a great show, man. You know, I think we are talking about key matchups on Monday. I think right now we'll just leave it at the Astros with Logan and Wisniewski. I know there's some other key matchups going on, but y'all make sure y'all stay tuned into us because we are going to, as the season goes along, we're gonna get into the storylines. More and more bullpens are being thrown by Ohtani. But a key note that Dave Roberts did say, the key is to have Ohtani ready for the postseason. So they're not going to push the envelope too much to have him pitch.
He needs to get back probably, I'll say he needs to get back probably August.
Right.
Just so he can, have, depending on, it depends on how they're going to use him. I have to believe it's going to be in the rotation, but go back to the one, a start once a week, something like that, depending on exactly how well the team is doing and how well Shohei is doing. But yeah, the idea is you want that big power arm when you get to the postseason, but you also want him in mid-season form. So he needs to get some games under his belt prior to that.
Exactly. And we didn't talk about this, but Jurickson Profar, who was signed by the Braves, who I was really hoping the Astros would have gone after. I'm glad we didn't. Got hit with a 80-game suspension, and it was the masking agent that is used when you are cycling through steroids. And
so he did not get popped for steroids.
Right.
It was still an illegal substance, though.
Right.
So that's you got to make sure that the list is so long of things that you and
I think too for him, Mike. I think there's a lot of he worked out with Tatis Jr. the summer before. I mean, he had a career year. There's just look.
But this. So the way this works, you get test positive. You don't get suspended immediately. There is an investigation, and then you get to appeal. And so there's a process, just like everything else in our world. There's a process that you go to, and by the time it goes public that he has been suspended, I think the appeal is over.
Yeah.
So I mean, by the time it goes public, you are serving the 80-game suspension.
You're serving the 80 games, yeah. But yeah, you hate to see that because that's I thought he was going to have a great year this year, but I guess
I'll tell you what, it's a good. I'll tell you what, it is for the Braves. That is a good. Actually, it's a great kind of like trade deadline acquisition because that's about the time that a little before that they'll get him back. Halfway through the season.
True. That's true. Well, hey, Mike, this has been a great show, man. Thank you for hopping on with me once again. We're going to come back to y'all on Wednesday. We will be doing shows Sundays and Wednesdays for sure each week. So make sure y'all don't forget to tune in. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers.
Tell your friends. Let's go.
I know. Man, 184 of y'all tonight. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us and rocking with Back to the Bullpen. And so for myself, Mike Stanton, everybody here at Back to the Bullpen, state-of-the-art barbershop, Ram shirts, y'all have a good one. And as always, we say go Stros. And Mike,
adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way you can't hit it. You know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking